The BMW 5 Series has been a staple of the luxury car market for decades. The current generation of the series hit the streets in 2010. For 2014, BMW engineers have made a few minor changes in what's known around the company as the F10. We're going to take the BMW 530d out for a test drive. The BMW 5 models drive like a large sedan, says test driver Matis Kurat. They're not particularly sporty, but then not really sluggish either. You can switch the dynamic drive to Sport or Sport Plus for a more robust steering feel, or put the car into Eco Pro mode to cut down on fuel consumption. If you take your foot off the accelerator, the drivetrain disconnects. It's called sailing. This option functions well on either country roads or on the freeway, but our test driver isn't focused today on sailing. He's going to put the 530's driver assistance technology through its paces. Matis tells us they've increased the speed limit on the cruise control system from 180 kilometers per hour to 210. That doesn't matter in most countries, but Matis gives it the thumbs up, says it's a good function to have when you're driving on a German Autobahn because the traffic moves along faster. It's part of a test driver's job to be critical, and a problem with the 530 crops up pretty quickly. Matis recommends switching to sport mode at higher speeds. He says when he hit 220 or 230 kilometers per hour in comfort mode, the front axle started to shake a little. That doesn't happen when you're in sport mode. The 530d can reach a top speed of 250 kilometers per hour. Not bad for a car that weighs 1.7 tons. Fuel efficiency is rated at just over 5 liters of diesel per 100 kilometers. But it's hard to spot the visible improvements that BMW has made to the 530. Among the more obvious are the LED headlights and the luxury line design package option. And there are a few nice little touches that were part of the overall redesign. Frank Emanuel Schlöder from BMW says it's the most successful model of the 5 Series the company's ever produced. Over the last 40 years, the 5 Series has become the leader in its class by a wide margin. So the task for the design team was not to fix anything. On the contrary, their job was to enhance the current design, he explains. The biggest changes in the 530d were made under the hood, and some are brand new for cars of this class. Schlöder tells us BMW introduced a new engine for the 518d and for the V8 550i. They've also developed a number of new driver assistance options, such as the traffic jam assistant. This allows you to sit back while you're on the freeway and let the car drive itself up to a speed of 40 kilometers. It eliminates some of the more annoying aspects of freeway driving. Another aspect of BMW's driver assistance technology may help cut down on the number of accidents, for example, by warning you against making a dangerous turn. But not all of the bells and whistles in the 530d are that useful. The instrument panel can be customized, but Matis doesn't think it's necessary. It's just a simple display, he says. There aren't any proper indicators anymore. He sees an advantage in being able to change the display to reflect which driving mode you're in. But he's unhappy that the gas indicator is so clunky, and it could move a little more freely when you accelerate. He says there could be some improvement there.
Und das finde ich nicht so schön. Das geht bestimmt noch besser.
The price for our test model was around 70,000 euros, but does it really offer value for money? It's a solid package, says our test driver. The great number of security systems, assistance systems, and comfort options add to the cost, of course. And one potential problem for sales executives, says Matas, and others who need to keep the car clean, is the interior. It has a lot of nooks and crannies where dust and dirt can accumulate. They're hard to clean. Maybe that's something that BMW could fix in future models.
Und da könnte man eventuell bei der nächsten Generation noch mal ein bisschen das Ganze putzfreundlicher gestalten.
Audi, the luxury automakers from Germany, are celebrating their anniversary in a faraway land. A ceremony showcasing popular models marks 25 years of business success. That's how long Audi has been manufacturing for the domestic Chinese market. It produces 4 different models at its plant in Changchun. Audi is in a joint venture with the FAW Volkswagen Automotive Company and has become a market leader. Audi chairman Rupert Stadler explains how they began in northern China in Changchun. He says that capacity was stretched there, and Audi realized it had to open another plant in the south if it was really to grow. Stadler says that the new factory gave the company more presence in the country. He is glad to be in the south and believes that it will open up more opportunities. Audi had its humble beginnings in China back in 1988. The Audi 100 was built in the first Automotive Works production hall in the North Chinese city of Changchun. In 1995, Audi became shareholders at the FAW VW Automotive Company, and their joint venture could begin. The next milestone came in 1999 with the Audi A6. The long wheelbase version became the car to be seen in among businessmen and members of the government. Today, the long versions of the A4 and A6 models are produced in Changchun, as well as 2 Audi SUVs. Anticipation is growing at the Foshan factory in the South Chinese Guangdong province, where production is due to begin at the end of this year. The highlight of the 25th anniversary celebrations here was the presentation to a customer of Audi's 2 millionth car sold in China. It took the company 22 years to tote up the first million, but they made it to 2 million just 3 years after that. Stadler recalls how they celebrated the first million and predicted that the market dynamic in China would enable them to sell the next million within the following 3 years. He's delighted that they made it. In his experience, market dynamics in China are greater than anywhere else in the world. It's not enough for China to open more plants producing the same old cars. The new site in Foshan has provided Audi with a chance to expand its range. The A3 sedan and Sportback models are landing on the market. Even if the car industry's growth rates aren't rocketing the way they were 3 years ago, China remains Audi's most important market after Germany. Dietmar Vogenreiter from Audi China thinks the company's best move was coming to China 25 years ago. It was a pioneering decision, he says, and strategically dead on. He is further convinced by the figures and by the 2 millionth car being delivered in China. In 2009, Audi China was set up in Beijing as an affiliate of the company. One of its departments is the Research and Development Center for Asia, which opened on February 1, 2013. The center aims to work in close cooperation with FAW Volkswagen to address the product requirements of its Asian client base. Lorenz Fürlinger works at the research center. He wants to make sure that the Audi is 100% suitable for China and that the products are perfectly adapted for Chinese clients. But he also says that he also wants to bring innovation and inspiration from China to Europe. He believes that China is capable of becoming even more of a trendsetter for design and technology. Over 400,000 cars were sold in 2012. In order to keep it that way, Audi wants to broaden its network of dealers. They already have 12 dealerships in Beijing alone and 300 nationwide. The aim is to reach the 400 mark by the end of the year. And customers aren't just after brand new models. Second-hand cars are becoming ever more popular. In fact, they account for around half of sales in 7 years. That makes the used car market more attractive. Even though the second-hand car sales are just starting to take off, says Dominic Busch of Audi China. And Audi has yet more tricks up its sleeve for attracting more customers to the market. The Audi City Beijing showroom is one of them, with its interactive full-size virtual presentations here to entice visitors, and who can resist? The latest generation of the Porsche 911 GT3 is equipped with active rear-wheel steering to enhance agility and stability. It also comes with a fully variable differential lock and dynamic motor mounts for more effective driving. The race car has a 3.8-liter 6-cylinder boxer engine with 4 suction points and maximum output of 350 kilowatts. Audi is introducing the RS7 Sportback. Its brake booster has an aluminum finish, and the steering wheel is made from magnesium, making the car easier to drive. The race car accelerates from 0 to 100 in 3.9 seconds, with 412 kilowatt engine power. But the fun doesn't come cheap. The RS7 is selling in Germany for 113,000 euros. This is Nico Rosberg, star of Formula One racing, hard at work. He has a need for speed, and he's looking to clock the fastest time. All in a day's work for the 28-year-old German. But today, there's a surprise waiting for Nico. His friend, football star Lukas Podolski, has come to the Nürburgring to get a taste of motor racing, Formula One style. In just 4.3 seconds, the C63 AMG hits the 100 km/h mark as it heads out onto the legendary North Loop track.
Ja, genau.
For Lukas, it's an adrenaline kick of a new kind.
Ah, hier, das war eine Strecke hier.
The C63 AMG's roadability is of course quite different from Nico's Formula One car, but it still boasts impressive stats. A maximum output of 358 kilowatts means everyone's firmly fixed in their seats. Lukas asks whether Nico has to brake hard in his Formula One Mercedes. Nico says, oh yeah. Time to change places. He's got his lucky shirt on, and now Lukas takes the driver's seat. At Nico's request, Lukas promises to give it his all. And he puts his foot right down. Nico jokes that Lukas could go even faster on the next curve. But then he has to admit that he's not the most relaxed passenger. He's been braking the whole time with his left foot. Nico has passed his first test intact, and now it's on to the next one. Teammate Lewis Hamilton is getting ready for Nico's next challenge, and he's brought along some true racing legends to do it. These two iconic silver arrows have returned to the North Loop. Nico and Lewis are going to show how today's Formula One stars handle the cars driven by the racing heroes of yesteryear. The outdated technology doesn't seem to hinder either driver, and neither appears worried that the cars they're driving have a present-day value of several million euros. Lewis Hamilton is in the older car, marked number 2. 75 years ago in 1938, Briton Richard Seaman won the German Grand Prix in the W154 at the Nürburgring. "16 years later, in 1954, Argentinian racing legend Juan Manuel Fangio won the race in the Eifel in the W196. And just like today's Grand Prix, the races drew hundreds of thousands of spectators.
Hunderttausende strömen zum Nürburgring, der herrlichen Rennstrecke in der Eifel, zum großen Preis von Deutschland 1938.
The 1938 German Grand Prix was to be a double victory for Mercedes-Benz.
Im großen Preis von Deutschland 1938, Doppelsieg für Mercedes-Benz.
Driving the Silver Arrows today is something special for our modern racers. You certainly can't get closer to history than this. Nico says it's great fun to drive the Silver Arrow, but back in the old days, there was a great deal of risk involved in racing. It's incredible to think of the cars going full throttle on the racing track in pouring rain, without any barriers, between the trees. Nico says it's an honor to have driven the car that Fangio won in. It's really great. Braking was a bit of a problem. He says that with the clutch, it was tough to really get a feel for the brakes and the gears. The car is, after all, unique. The experience has left an impression on Lewis, too.
I can't imagine what it was like back then racing these cars, even though I've done a lap now. But it's pretty phenomenal what they did. Yeah, well, the accelerator's in the middle and the brake is on the right, and then the clutch is on the left. So going down the hill, sometimes I was looking for the brake and couldn't find it. Trying to get into gear is the hardest thing. It doesn't want to go into gear ever. So it almost stalls each time I was trying to put it into gear, and then you eventually crank it into gear. But maybe I wasn't aggressive enough. I think I was too gentle with it.
These old-school racing cars may look tinny, but they're far from being consigned to the scrap heap. Our young stars have shown that the Silver Arrows are still worthy of respect as true makers of racing history. Today we're testing the new continuous variable transmission in the Subaru Forester. Our test driver, Sascha Knopf, has come out here to this test track to put the CVT through its paces. Previous versions of the CVT have proved less than optimal. That's mostly due to what's called the rubber band effect, where the engine revs up without the car accelerating fast. But the engineers at the Schaeffler Group have come up with a new design that's aimed at solving that problem. Sascha says the CVT does exactly what it's supposed to do, and that's to provide an uninterrupted supply of power to the drive wheels. But when you take a fast curve, you'll notice that the seats in the Forester need more lateral support. The Forester is a mid-size crossover SUV. It weighs in at 1.6 tons and is powered by a 177 kilowatt gasoline engine. It can hit 100 kilometers in just 7.5 seconds. Older versions of the continuous variable transmission couldn't handle high torque loads, but the engineers at Schaeffler have come up with a more reliable design that features a metal belt and a pulley system. Their new CVT can generate a peak torque of up to 500 Newton meters. Torque is especially important when you're driving around in rough terrain. We decided to see whether the Subaru Forester really lives up to the name Sport Utility Vehicle. The new X-Mode component provides good four-wheel traction at speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour, and it provides stability when you're driving up or down hills.
Mit dem Forester
Subaru executive Jörg Krake says they designed the Forester to appeal to people who enjoy driving in open country and who drive in cities. Some customers will want to attach a trailer to the vehicle for horses or camping equipment. The Forester has a towing capacity of 2 tons. That should be perfect for them. The Forester also offers a ground clearance of 220 millimeters, low fuel consumption, seating comfort, and excellent handling on the road. Families and people who enjoy the outdoors will appreciate these features, especially the extra ground clearance.
Aber auch den Jäger, der etwas mehr Bodenfreiheit benötigt, ansprechen.
Subaru has also made some changes to the Forester's exterior design, mostly the front end. The new additions include a taller grille and a sporty-looking bumper. Not much change to the sides of the vehicle. And the lettering on the rear end will make it clear to anyone what sort of Subaru they're following. Sasha says Subaru considers itself a niche importer here in Germany with sales just under 10,000 vehicles. That works out at a market share of 0.3%. Obviously, Subaru is, at this point, not a major player in the German car market, but at least the CVT transmission has proven itself efficient and reliable. We were impressed with the way it provides a smooth drive for both driver and passengers. La Dolce Vita, with Alfa Romeo, the most Italian of car brands. The company was founded in 1910 and has a varied history. This 6C 2500 SS dates back to the middle of Alfa's 100-year history. It's a car that combines pre-war motor technology with the aesthetics of the early post-war era. Alfa started producing the 6C series in 1927, and the model was continuously updated until 1953 to keep up with the times. 6C stands for 6 cylindri, 6 cylinders. This 1948 6C already had a 2.5-liter engine and 110 horsepower. Right from the word go, the engine was equipped with dual overhead camshafts. But its special cylinder head is only part of the Alfa Romeo story. The Cuore Sportivo is as popular today with Italians as it ever was. Mauro Capuozzi, who's a specialist in Alfa Romeo, says he's been driving and repairing them for more than 30 years. He grew up with them. His uncles all drove Alfa Romeos, and he was even driven to school in one. He praises them especially as a great drive, saying they have a fantastic sound, are very fast, and have a long tradition. This 6C got its bespoke bodywork from the touring company in Milan, and even took part in the Mille Miglia. Today, it's estimated to be worth around €500,000. Alfa Romeo enthusiast Helmut Lahrkamp explains that the 1948 model was given new bodywork after the war, although the construction dates back to before the war. He says these cars were often given these sublime kinds of bodywork, like this 2500 SS Super Sport with its short wheelbase. Only 20 or 23 of them were ever built. They were the direct forerunner to the Villa d'Este, and Lahrkamp describes it as one of Alfa Romeo's crown jewels still today, at least where the 6 cylinders are concerned. Although the bodywork is constructed from aluminum, making it super légère, the large Alfa feels heavy, and its steering takes a bit of getting used to. Its pre-war vintage workings mean the driver needs a sensitive touch when it comes to switching between its 4 gears. But after you've mastered its idiosyncrasies, few would refuse to take this car. perhaps the most beautiful of all Alfa Romeos on the Mille Miglia. With its Art Deco dashboard and nostalgic flair. Che bella macchina.
Una verde frontiera tra il suonare e la mare.